I've stopped the recording now, so I'm going to share with you what happens next. So
Right.
after
Okay.
you'll basically see a stop button. You can stop it, and the website will tell you, do you want a notification or not, to know whether it has processed everything. So basically, it's going to take some time to process the language. I've never really had well, let's see. Oh, well, I was just about to say I've never had a moment where it's needed to process anything. It's normally just works. But as you can see here, it is still processing, and our talking time was about 7 minutes and a half.
Okay.
So let's just maybe before we look at our text, I just want to show you what it looks like a little bit. So as you can see, we have the keywords in the answer. It gives us the time. It has a play function here, and you can go backwards and forwards. You can basically listen to what you've said. You can look at all the words that you were using. So in terms of teaching, or if you're just a learner self-studying, can I ask what would be the benefit of using this technology or using this raw data? What do you think you could use next in order to improve your learning or output?
Well, something that I think, this is actually maybe one of the plus sides. I'm usually a skeptic of everything being online,
Hmm.
but one of the plus sides of everything being digital, I've kind of found this recently with switching to ebooks for the most part. So, now I have my tablet and almost all my books are on there, and yeah, I'm really resistant to that. But now, I mean, yeah, even if I'm reading something in English and there's a word I don't know, I can just kind of press and click, and then dictionary definition pops up. So, I mean, that's something I think would be great for this with EFL, right? You can just highlight a word and then presumably in your browser, you know, look it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Also,
Yeah, definitely
another,
promotes good dictionary skills as well, you know. So it's not just the meaning you're looking for, the phonology, phonetic script or whatever. If a student might not know what type of word it is
Mhm.
and how it works in context. So yeah, I mean that really promotes good dictionary skills for sure.
And something else that just kind of struck me at first too is, this is probably more applicable to pretty advanced learners,
Mm,
but just for yourself, for the self-learning aspect, I could take a look at something that I'm saying and see, actually, am I saying the same things over and over, right? Am I just using
yeah,
this one fixed phrase for every time I need to convey that meaning? Could I change it up with something else? That's
yeah,
something that when you're really in the process of reading, I mean, I know whenever you make a little voice note or something, you listen back, you can hear, oh man, I use that phrase nonstop. Why do I do that?
yeah,
uh,
absolutely. I mean, I used to encourage the students to listen to record their voice, um, and I'd be saying to them, look, like as you said, try to write down any words you feel you're using too much or are using present simple too much, and maybe ask why is that happening. I mean, it's very hard to ask a student, why are they using present simple too much, but
sure.
once they get used to these questions and you're probing them a lot of the time, they can really help, I think, make them a better learner. And as you said, if we're
I
just
would
trying
I
to
would suggest that there's
go ahead.
one slight. Sorry, I'm talking over you. Sorry.
No, no, I was just saying it would be eventually it's a good way of trying to filter out all those words they keep repeating, words like
Mhm.
good or beautiful or whatever. But go ahead.
Yeah, I would suggest that one thing that is basically intonation carries meaning in the English language,
Mm,
and intonation is absent
mhm,
from it, obviously, as it turns into text. And intonation would have been present in the spoken aspect of it.
mhm,
And so that's a meaning that won't translate easily over.
mm,
Well, it won't. And discourse markers don't seem to be present in it either,
mhm.
which again,
In this, is it? Sorry.
somebody, sorry?
In this, what you can see here, is it?
Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, basically, they've got the repetition
Yeah.
or the emphasis that somebody might have been giving when they were speaking the crow one,
Mhm,
but there's no discourse markers. There's no none of the sound that you see in transcription, which you kind of need, I think. For your situation with the simple present, for example, on the whole, something like that would simply be a strategy that's been employed, because it's easier to jump to it than maybe going over to a progressive. But usually it's just not knowing when to use it rather than it being a habit. Do you know what I mean?
No, I understand completely. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's at the moment we can't hear the audio at the minute. It's still processing, but you would be able to hear it back.
Oh, right. So you get the two together.
Yeah. So
Cool.
it's not just a transcription. Sorry, you will hear the audio. As you can see at the bottom, it's just still processing the audio.
Yeah. Oh no, that's good, because it's definitely the text has definitely been tidied up from how people talk.
It's still trying to get our beautiful voices in there. So,
God,
this is now it's got something. So let's just play this back and you can mainstream. Yes, so secondary school, primary school. Yeah.
I would. Oh, go ahead, Anne. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm a mainstream school teacher, so I'm possibly not the best person for this.
So as you can see, obviously, when you're listening through someone else's computer, the audio quality will reduce. But if the student is using their own microphone and they're having a conversation with someone in a breakout room, I think there's a lot we can utilize here. I think there's a lot we can exploit. So as you said, and intonation is a big thing. So all the speech type of features that we don't really maybe kind of get to work on in class. So intonation and tone units, our students using that correctly. So we can show them this and we can play the recording, and then we can ask, why did you stop in the middle of a phrasal verb? Why did you stop before you got to the conjunction? Or why didn't you get to the end of the sentence? And they can really just kind of use this as a reflection as well. That can really help. So then you can work on tone units and say, look, okay, let's try to group all the words together so it comes out of your head nice and easy, and you're not breaking it up into individual words. So, some students do that and they don't realize, phrasal verbs, for instance, should be learned together, as well as convocations and other word combinations. That can really help with fluency, I think. And this record of work can really help. Is there anything else, just as Anne said there, is there anything else that you think we could use with this tool to kind of improve learning?
Well, I see like kind of how it automatically generates that word bank at the top, right? I guess especially if you're using this in like we were having a conversation with three of us talking. So of course, if I'm sitting in an EFL classroom with my peers and we're doing something like this, my peers are going to use words and vocabulary that I probably don't use, and some of that might fall into this keyword summary. So that's kind of a good opportunity, I guess, to expand your own vocabulary.
Absolutely, yeah.
I suppose.
Even if it's like, say, a student who's prepared a talk and they've just talked for maybe a minute or two, you could ask the other students, okay, don't look at the text, just look at the words and try and think what the talk was about. And then let's see if your predictions are right. Also, the whole thing about repetition, as you said before, Jake, are those verbs, why are they being repeated too much? The other thing that you can do here, if I can show you, is you can actually edit everything. So you could maybe, if you feel like the computer didn't put a break in the text where it should be, you can do that. You can replace words as well. A lot of the time, unfortunately, not a lot of the time, but unfortunately, sometimes the AI can't pick up certain words. It's just computer, really. So if you said school teacher, or if I don't know, maybe if you didn't say mainstream, you may have said many. You can just change that if you want to.
Okay.
Obviously, Anne said mainstream, so we'll just put that back. So you can do that. You can break the text up if need be. That can really help if you just need to highlight or isolate a sentence and just concentrate on those tone units as you're talking about, and with intonation. you know, you can just focus on that. Let's listen to what that looks like.
Don't get me started, moment.
All right. don't get me started, you know. So, I mean, this sort of thing, I think it's very useful, but is there anything else that you think could be used that I'm not even noticing?
The only thing is the punctuation is strange. It seems to be selective. And the capitalizing of certain letters is not clear to me.
So then we could probably help the computer out and kind of figure out, all right, what punctuation is needed, say. So if we look at this here, let's see what happens. So how do you think school closures have, let's start with students first. How do you think they have affected students, school closures? Okay, so yeah, we might have to edit that a little bit. Maybe might need a comma there, I'm not sure. So all of this is up for grabs. You know, you could work on punctuation, pronunciation, vocabulary. I suppose before we even look at the linguistic side, I think it's important maybe to concentrate on the content first before looking at the language. So you could ask them, you know, did you want to, what you see here, is that what you wanted to say? Was there, are you happy with your ideas? Did you want to talk about something else? So maybe that might be something to work on as well. Is there anything else you think we could use with this?
I mean, I do have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Just I guess about the, you know, the tool itself. I mean, I think that's cool how it breaks up into different speakers and everything. Can you label speakers too? Like, this is PJ talking, this is Anne talking, or something?
I think it is possible, yeah. I guess it's just because it's so long, it's still, as you can see, it's still processing. But with older ones here, you can label the speakers, which is obviously nice. I mean, this whole tool is really for like businesses when they hold meetings. You know, they just literally throw this on and they record the meetings or record the meeting, and they can just use this as a record of work, really. Then of course you just have a library of your work, so that's always really nice as well. You can just kind of look at all the portfolio of speaking performances. Anything else here? So yeah, there was one thing I wanted to show you that might be really useful for teachers. So this morning I did a lesson on coffee shops and how me and the students watched this woman opening a coffee shop, and we kind of predicted what she has to do before she opens the door to customers. So they did a little something on Google and they wrote down their predictions, and then we watched, and I just wanted to see, they had just a little bit of difficulty with the language, and I just wanted to see if this app could record her, and it can, which is fantastic. So if there's a video that you want to watch, and you know, using subtitles is great, but if you want to really look at the transcript of the video, I don't know how to do that with YouTube, but if you can use this app, and it actually just transcribes everything.
Because I think they're really relaxing, and even though you have to wake up pretty early, they're a lot of fun. So let's get started.
So that could be quite useful if you want to work with YouTube a little bit more. So has two uses. It's great for well, it has three really good uses. It's good for individual study. It's good for pair work. So if you wanted to kind of work on the transitions between speakers, so you two had really good polite expressions, things like "go ahead" or "is there something you want to say," or you were kind of linking back to what the other person was saying, which was really nice, and you can just study that and just make it really salient for the students. You know, maybe they're not using it, or maybe they are, and you want to show other students in the class, look, they've just done this. You know, maybe improve that in your speaking next time. And then of course transcribing YouTube. So what I would do is, for me, I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to hopefully use it for noticing, you know, patterns and noticing language. And then what I like to do is kind of summarize their best work in a Google Docs and just throw in really good use of grammar and lexis, pronunciation and discourse and things like this. And then of course we'll just highlight any corrections if need be, and then we can just think together any alternatives. That kind of really helps my lessons a lot, and I kind of do this a lot of the time. I use this form here every day, really, with speaking tasks. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you think that tool could be useful, or do you think there's anything else that I could do with it to improve speaking output?
I would say one thing, which I really don't mean as a negative at all, but you have a slight issue with data protection with it, because I think with adult learners who are confident, who are choosing to be on the course and in the classroom and connect and have, you know, full trust or whatever it is with their teacher, it's fine, especially if it's capable of recording things out with, like YouTube as well. But I think with teenagers, if you're in a more conventional school, you need parental consent for recordings and things like that anyway. So that could be lengthy and problematic for you if you just want to just get on and use it, you know, and you've got to wait for sort of, you know, Jimmy's dad to send the form back or something, you know, it's going to take a while. And that could interrupt your process. And the other side of it is that you do get, you know, some young people are extremely shy, painfully shy. And as soon as there's any public appearance whatsoever, you will lose them. And you'll never know that you did, you know, you'll be thinking, good God, what happened to him, you know, and you just won't know, you know, they won't say, they'll just go, oh my God, recording, and just leave or something. And so that, I mean, it sounds negative, but I don't think that reflects on the case.
It's not negative at all. No, I mean, me, I currently don't work with teenagers, but obviously I wouldn't be using things like that with them, because I know, like you said, that they'd be a little bit
very sensitive, and you know, and especially the girls, they'll say nothing, and you know, and it's a whole psychological venture to go and find out what happened, and a great deal of tea and coffee, you know.
I mean, in terms of the other students who you know, a little bit shy, you know, it's you know, it's my role to kind of build a little bit of confidence in them, because you know, I want them to go into job interviews or go on a day and have a good time, you know, talking to a English speaker. So I'm always trying to find ways of building confidence. And if, you know, obviously this would be a deep end approach, I think, certainly. But, you know, I always try to build confidence any way I can.
Yeah, you just shouldn't be appearing on Facebook with two people superimposed and all sorts of things like that. Those things happen.
So I was gonna use that tool hopefully in the future. Do you think it would be useful, or do you think it might be problematic to use for self-study, or do you think it might be easy to use?
I mean, I do have maybe one more question, just kind of about your experiences with it so far. I guess I saw you've got several little notes in there, and you did the YouTube kind of automatic transcription here. Based on your experience, you know, how accurate is the transcribing tool?
It can be 90% accurate. You know, AI is great. It's getting better and better every year, but you know, it's still a computer, and it still is just picking up signals and sound signals. So it's not the best, but it is getting there. But what I would say is, to a student, if they've recorded something and they've noticed they hasn't picked up something, it just reinforces the learning. It's like, oh, I didn't say that word, you know, I said this, and then they can just go in and correct it, and that's fine. They enjoy that. I think it's like a little game. So yeah. Okay. All right. So let's maybe stop this, and then we'll move over to Jake's Zoom room. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay for you guys?
Yeah. You just sent the link in the thing, or
do you want me to send it in the chat box real quick?